You know this, don't you? You know you're not just living life, you're creating it. Every moment, every experience, every obstacle isn't happening to you, but through you. Most people believe they are separate from the world around them, thinking their thoughts and emotions are internal, while reality is something external, something that happens outside of them. But what if this is the greatest illusion of all quantum physics, ancient spiritual wisdom, and the very tour of consciousness all point to one inequitable and inescapable truth? The observer is the observed. And today, you're going to uncover what this truly means. Because once you grasp this concept, not just intellectually, but experientially, you'll unlock the ability to reshape your reality at will. So stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll have taken the first step toward breaking free from the illusion and stepping into your true power. For centuries, both spiritual teachers and scientists have hinted at the same mind-bending truth. Reality is not fixed. It's not something happening outside of you. It's something being shaped by you in real time. Let's start with the science. In 1801, physicist Thomas Young conducted an experiment that would change the way we understand reality forever: the double-slit experiment. Here's what happened. When electrons were fired through two slits without observation, they behaved like waves spreading out into multiple possibilities at once. But the moment they were observed, they collapsed into a single fixed pattern, behaving like particles instead of waves. In simple terms, the very act of observation changed the outcome. This isn't just an abstract scientific concept. It means that your awareness, your focus, your attention, your conscious observation is actively shaping the reality you experience. And if that's true, what does it mean for your life, your relationships, your success, your entire existence? This brings us to one of the greatest spiritual teachings of all time. Jiddu Krishnamurti, one of the most profound spiritual thinkers of the 20th century, once said, "The observer is the observed." At first, this might sound like a paradox, but let's break it down. When you feel fear and you see fear in others, is it because they are fearful? Or is it because fear exists within you? When you believe people can't be trusted and you find yourself surrounded by deception, is it because they are untrustworthy? Or is it because your perception is tuned into distrust? When you see love, beauty, and kindness in the world, is it because the world is inherently good? Or is it because you are attuned to love, beauty, and kindness within yourself? Here's the revelation. You are not separate from what you observe. Your reality is a mirror of your own internal state. And once you become aware of this, you gain the ability to shift it. Now that you understand you are not separate from what you observe, the next question is, how do you step into the observer and begin reshaping reality? Step 1: awareness. Watch without reacting. Most people live in reaction mode. Something happens, they react. Someone says something, they react. A thought arises, they react. But what if instead of reacting, you simply observed? Try this. The next time you feel triggered by a comment, a situation, or a negative thought, pause. Instead of reacting, step back and watch. Ask yourself, who is the one watching this reaction? This simple act breaks identification with the emotion or thought. It creates a gap between you and your automatic responses, and in that gap lies your power. The mind is conditioned to repeat patterns. If you constantly observe lack, your mind continues to create lack. If you constantly observe limitations, your mind reinforces limitations. But what happens when you pause and shift your observation? Instead of seeing lack, you observe abundance. Instead of seeing fear, you observe courage. Instead of seeing limitation, you observe infinite possibility. And the more you do this, the more your reality begins to shift accordingly. Step 3. The quantum leap, choosing a new observation. Now that you understand awareness and the pause, the final step is this: consciously choose what you observe. You are not just watching life happen, you are making it happen. Every moment you are tuning into a specific version of reality. And the question is, which version are you observing? The version where you are stuck, or the version where you are limitless? The version where you are struggling, or the version where you are thriving? The version where you are in fear, or the version where you are in love? Because both exist. The only difference is which one you are tuned into. Most people go through life believing that the world is something that happens outside of them, that their emotions are natural responses to external events, and that their circumstances are for the most part beyond their control. But now you know this is an illusion. Reality is not fixed. It is being shaped moment by how you observe it. And this is the greatest secret to changing your life. Because if the observer is the observed, it means you don't need to force changes in the external world. You only need to change how you observe it. And when your perception changes, the world changes with it. But if this is true, why do most people struggle to change their reality? The reason most people feel stuck in repetitive patterns is simple. They are identified with their emotions, thoughts, and beliefs. What does this mean? It means that when they feel fear, anxiety, or doubt, they don't realize that they are simply observing a mental state. Instead, they become that state. This is how identification works. You feel anger and believe you are an angry person. You feel fear and believe the threat is real. You experience failure and believe you are incapable. The problem is, as long as you are identified with your thoughts and emotions, you cannot change them. You can only change something when you are outside of it. And this is exactly what the observer state allows: an external, neutral, unattached perspective. The good news is that you can learn to access this state right now. Now that you understand your reality is a reflection of how you observe it, the next step is learning how to shift your perception in a practical way. Here are 3 powerful steps to tune into the observer state and consciously begin shaping your reality. Step 1. Dissolve identification. Stop being controlled by the mind. The first step is simple, but extremely powerful. Stop and observe your own thoughts. The mind is always active, creating stories, judgments, and automatic reactions. But the key realization is this: you are not the mind. Here's a practical exercise. Close your eyes and allow any thought to arise. Instead of engaging with it, just observe. Ask yourself, who is the one observing these thoughts? The moment you do this, something shifts. You realize that there's a space between you and your thoughts. That space is the observer state. The more you practice this separation, the more you break free from automatic identification and start seeing reality for what it truly is. Now that you've learned how to disidentify from the mind, the next step is to expand your perception, to notice the hidden patterns shaping your reality. Try this powerful exercise. Take a notebook and write down the recurring thought and emotional patterns that keep showing up in your life. Ask yourself, these patterns exist only in my mind, or do they also show up in my external reality? Observe the connection between what you feel internally and what manifests externally. You'll see something surprising. The same struggles, frustrations, or limitations you experience are not coincidences. They are direct reflections of what you are observing and believing within yourself. And once you become aware of these patterns, you gain power over them. Step 3. Tune into a new frequency. Choosing the reality you want to live in. Now that you are no longer identified with your thoughts, and you've recognized the patterns governing your reality, it's time for the most important part, consciously choosing what you observe. Here's the key. Whatever you focus on grows. If you spend your days focusing on lack, scarcity, and fear, your mind will keep reinforcing those perceptions, and your reality will reflect them back to you. But the opposite is also true. If you start observing opportunities instead of limitations, your mind will begin to reinforce that new perception, and your reality will align with the new frequency. Here's a simple exercise to train this shift. Choose one area of your life where you feel blocked. Instead of focusing on the problem, force yourself to only see possibilities and solutions. Do this consciously every day until your perception begins to change automatically. At first, it may feel artificial, but over time, this reprograms your mind to perceive a new reality. And the most powerful part is that once your perception changes, your external reality starts shifting automatically. Now that you've learned the 3 steps of the shift, how do you know you've truly entered the observer state? Here are 3 clear signs that you're seeing reality differently. 1, you feel calmer and more clear-headed. Your thoughts and emotions no longer dominate you. 2, you notice invisible patterns. You start to recognize how your beliefs and perceptions create your experiences. 3, you become less reactive. What used to emotionally trigger you now seems neutral or insignificant. If you've noticed any of these signs, congratulations. You are no longer just a character in the game of life. You've become the conscious observer, and that means you now have the ability to choose how you experience reality. Now that you understand the observer is the observed, and you've learned how to step into the observer state. You might be asking yourself, if my observation shapes reality, how do I consciously create the future I desire? The answer may surprise you. You don't need to create a new reality. It already exists. Just like in the double-slit experiment where a particle exists in multiple states, until it's observed, your future already exists in multiple versions. The only thing that determines which one you experience is which one you tune into. Imagine reality as a quantum field of infinite possibilities. Right now, there exists a version of you that is thriving, abundant, and fulfilled. A version of you that is stuck in old patterns. A version of you that is living a completely different life from the one you know today. These aren't just theoretical ideas. They are real, tangible realities existing in the quantum field, waiting for your observation to collapse them into your experience. And here's the secret: you don't become something new. You simply tune into a different version of yourself that already exists. Step 1. Identify your current frequency. What are you tuned into? Before you can shift to a new reality, you have to get clear on what you're currently observing. Ask yourself, what patterns keep showing up in my life? What emotions am I consistently feeling? What beliefs am I reinforcing daily? The reality you're experiencing is not random. It's a direct result of your dominant focus, emotions, and expectations. So the first step to shifting is becoming radically honest about where your attention has been. Because if you don't change what you observe, you won't change what you experience. Step 2. Embody the version of you in your desired reality. This is where the shift happens. Most people think they need to work harder to change their reality. But the quantum truth is reality doesn't change when you work harder. It changes when you embody the version of you who already has what you desire. Here's how. Get clear on the version of you that already exists in your desired timeline. How does that version of you think? How does that version of you feel each day? What actions does that version of you take? Begin to shift your internal state to match that reality. Instead of waiting for success to feel abundant now. Instead of waiting for love to feel worthy now. Instead of waiting for proof, believe it's already happening. Live from that state as if it's already real. Make decisions from your future self. Speak as if your reality has already shifted. Carry yourself with the certainty that your new reality is inevitable. Because the moment your internal state changes, the external world has no choice but to follow. Step 3. Reinforce the new timeline. Stay in alignment. Once you start embodying the version of yourself in your desired reality, your old patterns may try to pull you back. This happens because of old momentum habits and thoughts you've reinforced for years. Here's how to stay aligned with your new reality. Don't react to old circumstances. See them as past energy playing out, not your new experience. Commit to your new identity. Make it non-negotiable. Surround yourself with reinforcement, read, watch, and consume content that aligns with the new you. The longer you stay in this frequency, the faster your old reality dissolves and your new one solidifies as your new normal. Here's where everything changes the moment you stop waiting for proof and start living as if your new reality is already true. Reality bends to match your new observation. Because the observer is the observed, the key is staying in that state long enough for the shift to become permanent. This is the moment you stop feeling like a passenger in life and start consciously driving your own reality. Because your future isn't something you're moving toward, it's something you're choosing in every moment. The only question is, which version of yourself are you choosing right now? How do you make sure you don't slip back into your old reality? This is where most people struggle. They start shifting. They feel the excitement of stepping into a new version of themselves. And then something happens. Old doubts creep in. A familiar challenge reappears. They wake up one morning feeling like nothing has changed. And before they even realize it, they've slipped back into their old timeline. But why? Because they never locked in the shift. Today, you're going to learn how to make your new reality permanent, so you don't just experience temporary change, but a complete rewiring of your reality at the deepest level. Your dominant state of being determines what reality you experience. Think of it like a radio station. If your frequency is unstable, you'll keep bouncing between different signals. But if your frequency is locked in, you'll experience one clear, consistent reality. This is why some people shift their reality once and never go back, while others keep shifting in and out, never fully breaking free. The difference: one group stabilized their new state of being, and now you're going to learn how to do the same. Step 1. Cutting off the old timeline. No more energy leaks. Every time you engage with the old version of yourself, you feed that timeline energy. Here's how this happens. You react emotionally to an old trigger. You doubt yourself and seek validation from your past, or you slip back into old habits, even for a moment. Every time you do this, it's like reopening a door that was already closing. The first step to locking in your shift is simple. Stop feeding energy to the old reality. Make a decision right now that the old version of you no longer exists. Not "I'm trying," but "it's done." Cut off triggers. If something pulls you back, disengage. See it, observe it, but don't react. Break the pattern. If an old habit starts to creep in, disrupt it immediately. Change your environment. Shift your focus. The more you do this, the more the old timeline loses power until one day it dissolves completely. Step 2. Emotional anchoring, rewiring your body for the new reality. Your body plays a massive role in keeping you locked into a particular reality. If you've spent years experiencing emotions like fear, doubt, scarcity, and stress, your nervous system has been conditioned to expect them. So even if your mind understands the shift, your body might still be wired for the old experience. That's why you need to retrain your nervous system to match your new reality. Here's how. Consciously generate the emotions of your new reality. Instead of waiting for circumstances to give you a reason to feel confident, powerful, and abundant, feel it now. Flood your body with that feeling every single day. The more you amplify these new emotions, the more your body rewires itself to make them your new default state. Use physical anchors, music, movement, breath work. Anything that helps your body lock in the new frequency on a cellular level. Do this consistently, and your body will catch up to your mind. At that point, your new reality becomes automatic. Step 3. Identity shift, becoming the new version of you permanently. The final and most powerful step to making your new reality permanent is this. You must fully become the version of yourself who already lives in that reality. Not I hope I cannot. I'm trying, but this is who I am now. Here's how to make this shift irreversible. Change how you speak. Stop speaking like your old self. Every word you say should reinforce your new reality. Make new decisions automatically. Ask yourself, would the version of me in my new reality do this? If the answer is no, don't do it. Drop the old you completely. Stop identifying with your past. The more you talk about who you used to be, the more you anchor yourself in that reality. The key is that when your new identity becomes effortless, your new reality becomes permanent. How do you know when your new reality has become your default? Here are the unmistakable signs. The old reality feels distant. You look back and it almost feels like someone else lived that life. You don't struggle to maintain the shift anymore. It flows naturally. Opportunities and people begin to align effortlessly. The right situations appear with ease. You feel different at a core level. It's not just your thoughts that changed, but your entire energetic frequency. When you start experiencing these signs, that's when you know the shift is complete and your new reality is here to stay. Now that you've locked in your shift and stabilized your new timeline, the next step is learning how to navigate reality consciously, because shifting into a new reality is just the beginning. What if you could move effortlessly between realities, choosing experiences at will? In the next phase, you'll discover how to accelerate time, bring manifestations faster, and shift realities on command without resistance. Once you master reality navigation, you become truly limitless. At this point, you've learned how to step into the observer state. Collapse old timelines and lock in your new reality. But what if I told you this is only the beginning? What if you didn't have to stay locked into one single reality, but could move freely between different versions of yourself at will? Because here's the truth, reality isn't static. You are not bound to one timeline. In every moment, infinite possibilities exist, waiting for you to choose which one you'll experience next. This is the art of reality navigation. By the end of this, you'll know how to shift between timelines. It will accelerate manifestations and access experiences you never thought possible. Every possible version of you already exists in the quantum field right now. There's a version of you who's struggling, a version of you who's thriving, and a version who has already manifested everything you desire. The difference between where you are now and the reality you want to experience is your observation. You don't have to create a new future. You only have to tune into the timeline where it already exists. So how does reality shifting actually work? Most people think shifting timelines is some mystical or complicated process, but it's actually incredibly simple. Here's the formula: every timeline vibrates at a different frequency. Your dominant emotions, thoughts, and beliefs determine your frequency. When you match the frequency of a new timeline, you shift into it automatically. It's not about trying. It's about aligning yourself energetically with the version of reality you want to experience. Once you fully align, reality has no choice but to reorganize itself around you. Step 1. Identify your target timeline. You can't shift realities if you don't know where you're going. So the first step is getting crystal clear on the version of reality you want to move into. Ask yourself, what does this version of me look like? How does this version of me feel every day? What thoughts and beliefs does this version of me hold? The clearer you get, the easier it becomes to tune into that frequency. Once you have that clarity, it's time to shift. Step 2. The frequency lock, embodying the energy of your desired timeline. Here's where most people get stuck. They identify the reality they want, but keep operating from the frequency of their current timeline. If you want to shift realities, you must start operating from the new frequency now. Tune into the emotional state of your desired reality. If the version of you in your target timeline is confident, feel confident now. If that version is abundant, feel abundant now. If that version is at peace, embody peace now. Align your actions with that version of yourself. Make decisions as if you're already living in that reality. Speak as if it's already real. Move through your day with the energy of someone who already has what they desire. Hold the frequency no matter what. The external world may take time to adjust. Don't react to old patterns. Stay locked into the new state, even when nothing seems to be happening. The shift happens the moment you stop checking for evidence and start living as if it's already done. Step 3. Quantum leaping the instant shift method. There's a way to accelerate the shift, so you don't spend months or years waiting for results. It's called quantum leaping. Choose your new reality. Get crystal clear on the timeline you want. Then close your eyes and visualize stepping into that version of yourself. Feel the shift happening instantly. Instead of seeing it as something far away, know that the shift has happened now. When you open your eyes, act as if you're already living in that reality. This might sound simple, but it's one of the fastest ways to shift timelines. Why? Because the mind doesn't know the difference between what is real and what is imagined. If you make the shift real in your mind, reality will catch up. Step 4. Maintaining the new timeline, avoiding the backslide. Once you've shifted into a new timeline, the biggest mistake you can make is slipping back into old patterns. Here's how to make sure that doesn't happen. Don't entertain doubts. The moment you start questioning, you weaken the shift. Ignore old triggers. If something from the past reappears, don't react. See it as a test. Reinforce the new identity daily. Meditate. Visualize and feel into the new reality every morning. The longer you hold the new frequency, the more permanent the shift becomes. At some point, the old reality will feel so distant that you won't even remember what it was like to live in it. That's when you know you've fully arrived. You've now learned how to step into the observer state and recognize that reality is not happening to you, but through you. You've learned how to collapse old timelines and shift into the version of yourself that you desire. How to lock in a new reality so it becomes your default experience, and how to navigate between realities at will, choosing experiences instead of reacting to them. Now, one final question remains. What happens when you remove all limits? What if the only thing ever keeping you from experiencing infinite expansion was the belief that you couldn't? Because here's the truth, there were never any real limitations. Every limit you thought was real was simply a construct of your mind. And today, we dissolve them all. This is where you stop playing small. This is where you unlock your infinite self. From the moment you were born, you were conditioned to believe in limits. Limits of what's possible, limits of what you deserve, limits of what's realistic. But these were never real. They were agreed upon realities passed down by others who also accepted them as truth. The moment you stop accepting these limits, they cease to exist, because limits only survive when you believe in them. The instant you see them for what they are, illusions, they dissolve. And that's where your power begins. If there are no real limits, then that means you can be, do, and experience anything. So how do you step into this state of pure limitlessness? Here's the process. Step 1 question. Every belief that feels like a limitation. Every time you think, "That's not possible," or "I could never do that." Stop and ask yourself, who told me this? Where did this belief come from? What if the opposite were true? 99% of the time you'll realize it's just a belief you unconsciously accepted. But the moment you question it, it loses its power over you. And when you replace it with a belief in infinite possibility, reality shifts accordingly. Step 2. Expand your vision. If there were no limits, what would you choose? Most people don't even allow themselves to imagine the life they truly want, because deep down, they fear it's too much. But what if you removed that fear? If you knew with absolute certainty that there were no limits, what would you create? What kind of life would you live? What kind of impact would you make? How much joy, love, freedom, and abundance would you allow yourself to experience? Dare to dream bigger than ever before, because the only thing keeping you from that reality is your willingness to choose it. Step 3. Embody limitlessness, daily living as the infinite self. This is the final key. You don't become limitless someday. You become limitless the moment you decide to be. Here's how to integrate this truth into your daily life. Make every decision as your limitless self. Ask, what would my most powerful infinite self do right now? Then act from that place. Never accept limitations as truth. If something appears to be a block, recognize it as an illusion. Shift your focus back to what's possible. Surround yourself with expansion. Read, watch, and listen to content that reinforces infinite possibility. Avoid environments and people who reinforce limitation. Do this consistently, and soon you won't even remember what it felt like to be limited, because you will have fully stepped into the infinite version of you. At this point, you're no longer just reacting to life or observing reality. You've become the creator. You now understand that you are not just in reality, you are shaping it. Your choices, thoughts, and energy dictate what happens next. There are no limits, only what you allow yourself to believe. And with this realization, you are free. Free to create, free to expand, free to experience life at its highest level. This is where your journey truly begins, because now you don't just believe in infinite possibilities, you live them. Now there's only one thing left to do. Ask yourself, what would I do if I truly believed I was limitless? What would I create, experience, and allow into my life? What action can I take today to embody that truth? Because the moment you take that action, the universe responds. But here's the thing, understanding this is just the first step. The real transformation happens when you train your mind to embody it. Most people fall back into old patterns and limitations simply because their subconscious is still wired that way. And that's why the fastest way to step fully into this limitless reality is to rewire your subconscious at the deepest level. That's where theta waves come in. Theta is the brainwave state, where your subconscious is open and programmable. New beliefs are imprinted effortlessly. Limitations dissolve. Expansion becomes natural. And the easiest way to access this frequency of transformation is by activating dormant regions of your brain, reconnecting you with your true power. There's a way to tap into the theta state effortlessly and align with what you truly desire. No complicated techniques, no endless meditation. Just a simple method that takes 7 minutes a day to shift your vibration and tune into the reality you want. And the best part, you can start feeling the shift from the very first time you listen. If you're ready to unlock this power and activate your genius wave, click the link in the description and try it for yourself. Your new life starts now.